Amarian Laclair had always dreamed of a life where the chaos of the world faded into the background, replaced by the gentle lapping of water against a private dock and the soft rustle of leaves in a secluded backyard. At 50 years old, after decades spent navigating the high-stakes world of tech consulting, endless meetings, red-eye flights, and the constant hum of stress that left him feeling like a nomad, he finally claimed his reward. The mansion on Lake Norman in North Carolina's Piedmont region wasn't just a house. It was a deliberate escape, a fortress of tranquility built from years of sacrifice. The property sprawled across a lush hillside, its wide glass doors framing the lake like a living canvas, where sunrises painted the living room in hues of gold and pink. The backyard sloped gracefully to the water's edge, ending at a private dock where Amarian envisioned quiet mornings with a fishing pole or evenings aboard a small boat, drifting under the stars. Inside, the polished wood floors gleamed under high ceilings. The kitchen begged for elaborate meals shared with close friends, and the fireplace promised warmth against the chill of autumn nights. This wasn't mere real estate. It was the embodiment of his mother's words from his childhood in Fayetteville. If you want peace in this life, you'll have to build it with your own two hands. Closing day felt like a rebirth. The keys in his palm were heavy with promise, a tangible symbol of independence earned through grit. Amarian had grown up in a modest neighborhood, watching his parents stretch every dollar, and he vowed to forge a different path. Now, here he was, stepping into a world that once seemed like a distant fantasy. From the moment he moved in, Amarian immersed himself in the serenity. He unpacked at a leisurely pace, savoring the act of claiming space rather than rushing through it like his old corporate life demanded. For the first time in years, he cooked full meals in his kitchen, fresh herbs sizzling in pans, the aroma filling the air instead of subsisting on takeout or hotel fare. One early morning, he slipped barefoot onto the dock, launched a kayak into the still water, and paddled out, the world around him hushed and sacred. Neighbors offered polite waves, but Amarian noticed their glances lingered a bit too long, assessing rather than welcoming. He shrugged it off. He hadn't come here for social circles. Privacy was his priority. Yet, subtle tensions began to creep in almost immediately. HOA notices flooded his mailbox, reminders about lawn height, suggestions for deck chair colors, even a critique of his fencing style. At first, Amarian dismissed them as standard bureaucracy, but one name repeated across the documents: Geraldine Caffrey, the HOA president. Whispers from neighbors painted her as a force, unyielding, controlling, someone who treated the shoreline like her personal domain. Amarian chuckled at the gossip, figuring he could handle a meddlesome overseer as long as she respected boundaries. He couldn't have been more wrong. Geraldine wasn't the welcoming type with baked goods. She was the enforcer, measuring trash can placements and judging landscaping with a critical eye. In her 60s, with thinning blonde hair pulled back tightly and a courtroom sharp tone, she wielded the HOA bylaws like absolute law. For 2 decades, she'd ruled unchallenged, thriving on compliance and bending rules to her will. To her, Amarian's arrival was just another property to monitor, not a new neighbor's dream. Amarian's first direct encounter with Geraldine came via a letter slipped under his door, heavy embossed paper, like a decree from royalty. It demanded he change his dock light to match the uniform community style. He laughed it off, muttering about trivialities and delayed compliance. But Geraldine didn't back down. One Saturday morning, as Amarian sipped coffee on his porch, she marched up his driveway, clipboard in arm, her stride purposeful. "You must be Mr. Laclair," she said, her smile cold. "Yes, ma'am," he replied, setting down his mug. "And you're Geraldine Caffrey, president of the Lake Norman Homeowners Association," she emphasized as if it were a title of nobility. "I like to welcome new residents personally." He extended a hand, but she nodded curtly, scanning his porch. "I trust you've received our notices." "I've seen a few," he said politely. "Good. We maintain a specific aesthetic here. It keeps values high and ensures harmony." She pointed at his chairs. "Those should be neutral colors, and your dark lighting. You've been informed." Amarian raised an eyebrow. "I just moved in. I think I deserve time to settle before repainting and changing bulbs." Her lips tightened, of course, but rules apply equally to everyone. He nodded slowly, sensing the undercurrent. That night, venting to a friend over the phone, he laughed. "I left corporate micromanagement, and now this woman acts like she owns the lake." His friend chuckled. "HOAs, man, they'll control your breathing if you let them." But Geraldine's influence deepened. Neighbors mentioned her inquiries about Amarian hosting events or community gatherings. He denied it each time, puzzled. In truth, Geraldine viewed his mansion as a communal asset, a way to boost her prestige. She began planting rumors, shaping narratives without his consent. At the grocery store, a couple from down the street leaned in. "So, are you letting the HOA host a party at your place?" Geraldine mentioned it. "Absolutely not," Amarian replied, stunned. Walking to his car, unease churned. This wasn't oversight, it was manipulation. Meanwhile, Geraldine schemed quietly. At an HOA meeting, she floated her nephew's graduation party, eyeing Amarian's property. "That house was made for celebrating," she said, waving off objections. "The HOA has discretionary rights. Present it as community, and he'll have no ground." Whispers spread, invitations drafted, caterers called. The event ballooned to over 100 guests, all without Amarian's knowledge. One evening, hosting colleagues on his patio, neighbor Sharon stopped by, excited about the big party. "What party?" Amarian asked. "Geraldine's nephew's graduation. The neighborhood's buzzing." "That's news to me," Sharon faltered. "Oh, maybe I misunderstood." The next morning, Amarian confronted Geraldine at her door. She answered briskly. "Morning. I keep hearing about a party at my house." "Explain." "It's a community celebration, Amarian. Your home's perfect. Think of it as integrating. I never gave permission." "Sometimes it's not about permission, it's participation. This neighborhood thrives on cooperation." "That's not cooperation, that's trespassing." Her eyes hardened. "Careful. You wouldn't want to seem unneighborly." He walked away, realizing she wasn't asking. She was declaring. Preparations escalated. Caterers measured, tents dropped off, workers citing HOA approval. Amarian confronted them, but they deferred to Geraldine, calling his attorney, Victor Hensley. "They can't without consent. Document everything. It's trespassing." Amarian exhaled, preparing, but as the day wore on, the invasion loomed. By afternoon, the tidal wave hit. Cars lined the drive, guests streamed in, Geraldine directing like a conductor. Music blared, chaos ensued inside. Food on counters, spills on floors, strangers in bedrooms, pool overflowing, dock crowded. Amarian, away briefly for work, received a text. "Big party at your place. Looks wild." He called Sharon. Geraldine said it was set. "Everyone's here." "I didn't approve." Rage built as he rushed back. Arriving, the sight stunned. Ruts in lawn, trash strewn, house trashed. furniture overturned, stains everywhere, dock damaged. Sharon approached. "We thought you knew. This looks cleared." "I'm sorry," Geraldine said. He called Geraldine. "You trashed my property." "Don't exaggerate. It was community. You should be proud. My home's ruined. Repairs can be made. Don't be combative." He hung up, called Victor. "It happened. Damages everywhere. Document it all." Amarian snapped photos, each click fueling resolve. As evening fell, surrounded by wreckage, he vowed not to yield. As the sun dipped lower over Lake Norman, casting long shadows across the scarred lawn, Amarian Laclair stood amidst the ruins of his sanctuary, his heart pounding with a mix of fury and disbelief. The day had started with promise, the quiet unpacking, the serene kayak paddle. But now, as strangers milled about his property like it was a public fairground, everything he had built felt violated. Geraldine Caffrey's community celebration had transformed his dream home into a battlefield, and the weight of it pressed on him like the humid air thickening before a storm. He pushed through the crowd, his footsteps crunching over discarded cups and napkins, the bass from the DJ speakers vibrating through his chest. Guests laughed and clinked glasses, oblivious or indifferent to the fact that this was not their space. A group of teenagers cannonballed into the pool, splashing water onto his carefully chosen lounge chairs, while others posed for selfies on his boat, their feet scuffing the deck. Inside, the kitchen counters were cluttered with trays of half-eaten food, soda spilling onto the hardwood floors he had polished just days ago. Women wandered through his master bedroom, giggling as they tried on his jackets, leaving lipstick smears on the mirror. "Get out," Amarian muttered under his breath, but the words dissolved in the noise. He spotted Geraldine near the patio, clipboard in hand, beaming as she accepted compliments. "Isn't this perfect? The lake, the view. This is community." He marched toward her, shouldering past a cluster of guests. "Geraldine?" She turned, her smile faltering for a split second before recovering. "Amarian, so glad you could join. See, everyone's having a wonderful time. This is my home," he said, voice low but edged with steel. "You had no right. Call it off. Now." "Oh, come now," she replied smoothly, waving a hand. "It's just a gathering. Your property is ideal for this. Think of how it reflects on the neighborhood." "Reflects? You've destroyed it. Strangers in my rooms, damage everywhere. This ends." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't make a scene. The HOA has authority for community events. Participation is key. Authority? This is trespassing. I'll call the police." She laughed lightly, though tension lined her face. "Police? For a party? You'd look foolish. Relax, enjoy it." He didn't. Instead, he dialed Victor again, stepping away from the chaos. "They're still here. What now?" "Warn them verbally, then call authorities if they don't leave. Keep documenting." Amarian did, snapping more photos as the party raged on. Neighbors approached cautiously, Sharon wringing her hands. "We thought you approved." "Douglas," Geraldine assured us. But assurances meant nothing. As dusk fell, Amarian confronted groups, demanding they leave. Some complied, murmuring apologies. Others, emboldened by Geraldine, lingered. The dock creaked under weight, boards cracking, his boat's cover tore, rage built. Finally, as night enveloped the lake, he faced Geraldine again. "You've gone too far. You'll pay for this." She stiffened. "Threats? The community sides with me." "Not anymore," he said, turning away. The party wound down, leaving wreckage. Amarian surveyed the damage, stains, breaks, violations, vowing justice. With the moon high over Lake Norman, reflecting off the littered water, Amarian Laclair sat in his trashed living room, the stench of spilled beer and chlorine clinging to the air. The day's invasion had culminated in this moment of reckoning, but he wasn't done. Calling Victor one last time, "We file now, against all of them." Agreed. Gather evidence, will hit hard. As the night progressed, Amarian compiled photos, notes, estimates. Neighbors trickled by, some apologetic, others defensive. "Sharon, please reconsider. The kids didn't know. It's about accountability," he replied. Geraldine called. "Let's settle privately. No need for courts." "Too late," he said, hanging up. By dawn's light, still the same endless day in compressed fury. Filings hit the courthouse. Lawsuit. Laclair vs. Caffrey et al. $100,000 per trespasser. Panic spread. Emergency HOA meeting at Geraldine's. "This is absurd. He can't win." But testimonies poured in mentally. "Douglas, you lied." Patrice, we're ruined. Court hearing unfolded in Amarian's mind as reality. Judge Sloan ruled swiftly. Trespassing confirmed. Damages awarded. Geraldine ousted. Community fractured. Homes for sale. Reputations tarnished. Amarian repaired his home, installed security, found peace in victory. The moral, stand for your right. Entitlement crumbles under truth.
If you liked this story, please like, subscribe, and share it with others so they can learn something from it too.